The time has come.
Okay, we got another key in this room. These guys here are called the Bubbles, I believe. I might be wrong about that, but they're just these glowing guys with skulls in their helmets, or skulls in their bodies of electricity, whatever they are. And the only gimmick with them, they don't hurt you, but they make it so you're unable to use your sword for a little bit. So that's why they're usually in rooms with other enemies, because them by themselves is not a threat whatsoever. I believe killing all the enemies in here will get us a bomb, so we don't need to worry about that. We're at the maximum right now. Another key. Now with the rupees, I don't know if I've explained this yet, I might have, but the blue rupee gets us 5 rupees at a time, while the one that's glowing kind of orange-bluish gets us just 1. So I always found that system a little weird, and I don't know, because sometimes you can mistake the glowing blue and orange ones for just a plain old blue one, since when you first get a blue one to spawn, then the blue one is flashing at first. Yes, I got the new sword. Here it is. I always love how you can hit those guys, but... is there even anything in here? There's a key. Okay, there was no reason to come up here because we used a key on that door. Okay. Come on, there we go, okay. And we do also have to kill all the enemies to leave that room. That's the difference between that door and the key door. Although sometimes that also requires you push a block. Similar to, say, a staircase. One kind of annoying thing about the old men in those rooms is that you have to wait for all of the text to go by before you can even move. So, if it's a big wall of text, then you're going to be sitting there just waiting for him to get on with it. And we finally get the map in one of the last rooms of the dungeon. Yes, everybody knows it looks like a swastika, but... it's apparently like based off some Jewish thing. I don't know. It's just... It's a shape. I mean, granted, makes for a simple dungeon design early in the game. It's better than, like, the final dungeon of the game where that's a skull shape, but it's just ginormous. In this room here, we have just more enemies. Now, you might notice that, hey, we need to kill all the enemies to get out of here. That does not include the orb dudes, because you cannot kill them, so that doesn't matter. And now, for one of the easiest bosses in Legend of Zelda, Manhandla. Moving on, we now have a second row of hearts, as well as another piece of the Triforce. Ba-dum. Now, the important thing in that dungeon was that we got the raft. Now, the raft can get us to both a heart piece as well as a new dungeon. We're closer to the dungeon, but part of me really just wants to go after the heart piece solely because Dungeon 4 has a really difficult boss as well as a very long stretch throughout it. Hey, you know what? Why not? Let's go after Dungeon 4, even though it's a bit of a harder dungeon of the game. At least at this point in the game. But we do have a lot of hearts. We have the white sword. Let's go after it. We're close. Why not? And the entrance I was speaking of is that raft area up there. I might have mentioned this last episode. It's been like a couple days since I recorded that. There we are. And into Dungeon 4. Now, the area that you use a raft to get a heart piece, it also has like a dungeon-like entrance. I'm pretty sure it's just a recoloring of this dungeon, so it can get a little confusing as to which one leads to a dungeon and which one gets you a heart, and especially since most hearts in the overworld are just behind a cracked bomb wall, which isn't really the case with dungeons. Granted, there is one dungeon in the game where you do get it from burning a bush with a candle, similar to how you do some of the other secrets, so that's also a little obscure. Again, this game is very open, and you have to figure a lot of this stuff out on your own. It's not as bad as Metroid, in my opinion, but at the very least, we can save in this game, so we can take our time. Metroid's a game with passwords. And this dungeon also introduces the dark rooms, meaning you have to use the candle to light it up at first, and it's really just a gimmick to get you to put the candle as your first item. I don't care for it at all. Now, one thing that's annoying about these guys who turn into bats after you kill them, or hit them, they don't drop anything, because the bats and most of the smaller enemies don't actually drop anything. Even though, like, the ropes are kind of a smaller and easier enemy, they drop stuff. But the bats never drop anything. So when they turn into bats, that means they aren't going to be dropping anything, even though at first they were a bigger class enemy. Oh, and of course we gotta pause the game, go into the menu, select the candle, use it. Don't worry, this is not nearly as bad as The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, where we really have to get crazy with the item management in the menu. And these guys do split into 2 bats, so it can make the area a bit dangerous. The item in this dungeon is the step ladder, I believe, which allows us to take 1 step into the water. So, for example, just go right across that middle area there, or go right across here to there. It's really just so that we can get from place to place a bit easier. The only time it's absolutely necessary is in a room like this, or for 1 heart piece in the overworld, heart containers, excuse me. And of course it does make navigating rooms like this a lot easier. And it looks like we're gonna have to kill all the enemies in this room, which is alright. Almost got them all. Just 1 bat left. Part of me really wants to equip the boomerang and use that, but there's a chance the next room will be dark, and in that case I don't want to have to go back into the menu and then use the candle again. Oh, and these guys, these are like-likes. We may have encountered them before, but I probably didn't explain them that much. These guys, all they do is they suck onto you and they hurt, but the main gimmick with them is that if you buy the better shield in any of the stores, they can take that if they latch onto you for too long. Which really sucks because that thing is expensive and it's really useful. So, normally I would be like, oh yeah, absolutely go for the magical shield, but considering these enemies are used in almost every dungeon from this point on, and there's a good chance they can take it from you, and considering all the other things you need to buy in this game, like necessarily need to buy, like you need absolutely to buy the candle, and you need to buy the, well actually, yeah, you need to buy the candle, and you need to buy, what is it, actually, there's nothing in there, huh? You need to buy the, oh, I was just thinking about it. What was it you needed to buy? You needed to buy the food for later in the game, but that's a ways away. But that's also very expensive and necessary to beat the game. But yeah, we got the step ladder, which means we can travel up in this room now. We're running a little low on keys, and that's another thing we can buy in the stores in the overworld, is we can buy keys, but a lot of the time, you can find as many as you need in the dungeon. I can't remember the last time I've actually went out and bought a key. It's certainly been a while. Anyway, this is a room where you have to enter from this side to get the map, which is why using that key in that southern room down there is completely useless, and I'm aware I just wasted that key, unfortunately. Anyway, this dungeon is like a snake shape. Oh, and look who it is, back already. Looks like he's unaffected by the candle, but we can just hit him with a bomb. And you can kill this guy with the sword, but the bomb just gets him out instantly. And there's a chance that some of the bomb residue will miss one of his heads and he'll be flying around much faster, but then he only needs to die in 1 hit. I don't have a key. I don't have a key. Huh. Okay, I suppose I should go back and get one then. Now here's the thing in how dungeons work. If you leave the dungeon, the enemies you kill will respawn. Maybe killing all of these guys will give me a key. I didn't kill all of these guys a lot of the time just because they're a bit of a hassle since they turn into bats. But maybe... Nope, nothing. Okay, maybe there's another room where I didn't kill all of them. I think I killed all of them here, but we can be sure, I suppose. Oh, my sword is deactivated. No, no key. Oh boy. This might be trouble.